Hey guys, it's Shala, This Week in Beauty, and I wanted to come to you guys with a up close and personal video today, answering one of the questions that one of my subscribers asked me during my last video. So she asked me how I got my job as the SLPA, and I've had a lot of jobs as an SLPA. I think I've had maybe 3 or 4 jobs as an SLPA, so I thought it was a good opportunity to go ahead and answer this. I'm gonna go ahead and give a disclaimer. It varies state by state whether they regulate SLPAs, whether they license SLPAs, whether they hire SLPAs, and not only does it vary state by state, it varies district by district. So if you're looking to get a job in the school setting, some districts hire SLPAs and some do not. And they mainly do not because of the amount of supervision that's required. State by state, you know, it'll kind of let you know how much supervision is required. And more than likely, if you're hired onto a company that already hires SLPAs, they already have a SLP that supervises. Sometimes, in certain cases, you will have to find your own supervisor. So I'll go into that a little bit more. I found my first SLPA job on Indeed. I had just got back from an internship in Hartford, Connecticut. I was interning at the American School for the Deaf, and it was unpaid, but they did provide housing and meals and stuff, so it was good. But I realized that I wanted to get a paid position in the field, and working at the deaf school was not really in the field enough for me. I didn't really see myself going into education or deaf education. Although I do love sign language, I just didn't see that as a good fit. So I got on Indeed and I looked at the job opportunities that were there, and I said, you know, if I had to move or whatever the case may be, then I would just do that, because I was just really amped to start working. So with that being said, I found a job in Clovis, New Mexico, and I was working for Mecca Therapies, and I really enjoyed working for Mecca, but I'm gonna get into how I qualify. So in the state of New Mexico, in order to be an SLPA, you have to have your bachelor's degree in speech language pathology, and you also have to be working towards some type of graduate program, whether that be in speech language pathology, or if you are just taking classes to continue your education. They require 9 credit hours per year, and you can only renew your application, I think, 3 times, because they give you 2 years to get into a graduate program. So you can have your bachelor's, you can be taking classes, you know, 1 class a semester, spring, summer, fall, or you could be enrolled in grad school, but they do require you to have some sort of continuing education to go towards a graduate program or whatever. Luckily, by the time I had applied for my license, I was already in school at Tennessee State Online for my grad program, so I just put that on my application. I got my advisor to sign off saying that, you know, I was enrolled, I was at a 3.0, and, you know, I was good. I also had to get the company that hired me, I had to get the supervisor who was supervising me to sign off on the paperwork stating my duties, stating her duties, and that we were going to stay within that scope of practice, so that I wasn't going to be doing any evaluations or anything outside of the scope of practice of an SLPA. She was pretty much going to be signing off on all my documentation. What else did I have to do? I had to send in my transcripts, and I had to pay an application fee. They had to do a background check and things like that. Every state that regulates and licenses SLPs has an application packet online or some type of application form where you can apply. And so I would just go on Google, you know, once you find the job in the area that you want, I would go on Google, type in the state, like I would put in SLPA South Carolina license, or SLPA Florida license, or SLPA New Mexico license, and something will come up to kind of let you know what to kind of look for when it comes to being licensed. I know that some companies will not hire you if you're not already licensed in that state. The job in New Mexico went ahead and hired me before I was able to get my license, which the license process took maybe 2 or 3 weeks. In South Carolina, it took me between 2 to 4 months. So it just kind of depends on the state, how quick they process things. Your application is missing any documents, they will not send it through, and sometimes you can lose job opportunities waiting for that license to come. you know, just kind of contract companies or whatever that hire SLPAs. They will kind of help you through the process, but they will not guarantee you the job or anything until you are licensed. And I know some companies like EBS Healthcare will you know, work with you through the process. I know the two companies that I was hired with, PediaStaff and Shala Help, they both helped me with my licensure process. So you just kind of have to let them know up front if you have your license or not, or they'll probably ask you if you're licensed or not before you get the job. So like I said, I went on Indeed, I typed in SLPA jobs, and I put anywhere, you know, because I was willing to move. And that's another thing, when you're looking for an SLPA job, sometimes you have to be willing to move outside of the city that you're in or outside of the state that you're in. It just depends. Like in North Carolina, you can either have an associate's degree to work as an SLPA, or you have to have a master's degree to work as an SLP. They will not let you work as an SLPA if you just have your bachelor's and no other courses, because in North Carolina they don't require you to have that clinical portion in your undergrad program. So it just kind of depends on what state you're in, like I said, and things like that. But Indeed is your friend. Indeed is your best friend. Google is your best friend. I know if I didn't find anything on Indeed, I would just Google SLPA jobs in the state or the area that I was looking for, and bam, it's like that. So the job that I got in South Carolina, I actually got that job through word of mouth. One of my friends who went to South Carolina State and graduated, he knew a professor at that school who had a private practice, and that she was looking for somebody to cover caseload because she had two SLPAs working for her, but both of them were going back to school to get their masters. So they could no longer work. They were in an on-campus program, and the first semester that they were enrolled in grad school, they had to do like ESY over the summer to provide services for kids in the public school system, like an extended service year, extended school year or whatever, so that they could get speech services over the summer. So that was a requirement for one of their grad programs, so they can no longer work. So she reached out and asked other students if they wanted SLPA jobs, and my friend from South Carolina State actually contacted me and was like, hey, if you wouldn't mind moving down here, it's an opportunity for you. I just decided to go ahead and take that job because I had been out of the field for maybe a year or so. I only stayed in New Mexico for 1 year, so I completed my contract with PediaStaff, and they offered me to stay, but I just didn't want to stay. It was just too far, and I had some family issues going on, so I decided to move back to the East Coast. And I was in North Carolina. Like I said, North Carolina, you can't work. I couldn't work because I wasn't about to go back and get an associate's and pay for that out of pocket when I was already in grad school online. So I was like, okay, well, you know, as long as it doesn't interfere with my graduate studies, I would love to, you know, come down there and work. So I started training. It was about for 2 weeks because I already had experience. So I came down here for maybe 5 days total out of that 2 week span, and I got a chance to meet some of the kids on my caseload and apply for my license. And you know, a few months later I started working. So like I said, it takes some time for you to get your license in South Carolina. I don't know about other states or whatever, but I had the hardest time getting my license. So I would just say, if you're interested in getting an SLPA job, reach out to SLPs in the area and see if they would be willing to supervise you, especially if their company is hiring. So luckily, the company that I already, you know, that I had the job opportunity for, they were hiring, so it was easier for me to get a supervisor. But I was considering moving to Tennessee at one point to kind of do my grad school on campus, and I would have had to get another 100 clinical clock hours in that state with a supervising SLP that worked in that state. So I reached out to some companies and I didn't hear anything back. So I was like, well, maybe that's a sign. I just don't need to go to Tennessee. I just need to stay online or whatever, because I wouldn't have been able to work as an SLPA in that state without having a supervising SLP and having, you know, those hours. It just all depends. Like I said, guys, the best thing to do is just Google everything that you have questions about, and if you need any help, you know, you can leave a comment down below. Back to the subscriber who initially made me want to do this video, I would say follow the Social Speechy She is on here on YouTube, and she lives in Florida. She works as the SLPA, and she's going to grad school online too. I know that she mentioned in one of her videos that you have to have a bachelor's degree in speech language pathology. Her first bachelor's degree was in something else, and she was just going to do a post-bac program so that she could get into grad school. If you have like a post-bac and not like the full-on second degree, then you can't work as SLPA because you don't have enough courses in that field. So I think the only requirements is to have a bachelor's degree and, you know, have a job, have a supervisor and things like that, pay the application fee, do like a fingerprint card or whatever, and all the information is right there online, guys. So just make sure you utilize all your resources, Indeed, Google, me, you know, and just kind of, and you can also message the social speechy too. She's pretty good at answering questions and things like that. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys kind of about how I got my first 2 SLPA jobs. Then my third job working in the school system, I found that on Indeed too. I applied for the company back in November, and I think that they went ahead and filled the position before the year was out, but they had another position that came open. So I just left my resume on file, and I did like an additional resume submission like through their website, their Contact Us website or their career section website, and I sent another copy of my resume. And a few months later, they ended up calling me back and asking me if I wanted to take a position working in the school system. So I said yes, girl, because home health was kind of really stressing me out at that point. So I took that job, but I found all my jobs on Indeed pretty much. I only did one job through word of mouth, and that was because she was just in dire need. And you know, it's kind of all about, you know, networking and just using all your resources, like I said. So if you guys have any other questions, don't forget to leave a comment down below to let me know. I'm going to be doing a question and answer video later on this week, so I want to make sure that I have enough questions so that I can do like a full blown out video. It's going to be like a long one, like a 30-minute video. So I just want to answer all the questions that you guys have. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at _thespeakingbeauty. I will leave all my social media handles down below so that you guys can, you know, follow me and leave your questions. If you're not comfortable leaving them under my YouTube channel, you can always message me on here or DM me on Instagram. Either one is fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.